happening? We're taking a look at Eden Fantasia Idol Goddess. This is rated E for everyone, but this game is absolutely suggestive. Not that you shouldn't be watching what your kids play, but you shouldn't have small children play this game in my opinion. I'm going to show you some of the artwork right now. Alright, let's go to some heroes, and it really depends on the character. Now, chances are that if you're playing this game, you're probably in the male demographic, age 16 to 35. But I really think this rating should probably be T for teen. That's just my personal opinion. So I'm just giving you a fair warning there. But enough of that, let's get into the combat. Into the combat here, you'll notice the whole format seems really similar to other quick put together waifu games out there. I'm looking at you, Queen's Blade, Limit Break. I wouldn't be shocked if it was literally the same dev that was involved, or it was the same game engine that was used on both and some others. You've got this typical 5 formation setup, and the whole battle is automated. You don't get to set off the ultimates, the regular attacks, selecting the enemy, like nothing. You get to do nothing but speed up the battle. Like, that's what you can do. You can go from like speed 1 to speed 2 and speed 3. This really plays out to me like a lot of those mobile browser-based games, but this isn't a browser-based game. I don't know if there is a browser version of it, but no, this one's a full Android game. They're not really using like chibi artwork, at least. They're using like these mini characters. And you can click each hero to kind of bring up information about them, like in the middle of the battle. And you can click on the enemy, and it won't show you some of the information, usually unless like they're queued up for like an attack. So there you can see there's currently no buff. I'm gonna let this battle play out. Now before the battle starts, you can check in the upper right for your faction restraint info. This is going to show you like the regular color strength and weakness, any other extra effects that you get depending on the type of heroes that you have deployed. And you'll notice that in this game, green actually beats red and red beats blue. So that's a little backwards from most, right? Usually I think red beats green, right? And then green beats blue, but it's switched around. I just thought that was really interesting. Now, if you don't have anybody selected, you can hit one tap deploy to just fill it in, or you can hit it anyways and it'll just replace everybody that you've got with whoever characters that it wants to do. And unfortunately, when you're using ×3 speed, you actually don't get all the sound effects in the game. So when you turn it down to 1, you'll get like all the voicing effects, all of like the attack sound effects. And I think you get that mostly with speed 2 as well, but speed 3 is just like going so fast that it just skips past it. There is some decent voice acting with some of like the ultimate talk though, and that's kind of neat. And honestly, that's pretty much it for combat. It's a rinse and repeat scenario. Character development, there's not a lot to do here either. You can upgrade your characters 5 levels at a time only. Every so many, then you have the usual promotion that you got to do. You can also do a 1-tap equip and unequip for your stuff, and there is a 1-tap I think for levels 2. Let me go to somebody who actually can be leveled up. Oh, maybe not. Okay, all right, so there's a 1-tap unequip for just like your gear and stuff, but not for like your levels. Now right above all that, you've got your skills. It'll tell you which ones are like active or which ones are a passive skill, and on the bottom you have a link to the star up ability if you have another one of those heroes that you can use to rank up by another star. And honestly, again, that's about as much as it gets when it comes to a character development. You do have a rebirth, which is basically just resetting your character. To touch on this, you have all your typical mission objective rewards, but there's actually quite a bit beyond that too. They give you a lot of like event currency, like coins, gems, so make sure you follow like all those little red dots and just collect everything. And though there is a couple of spots where they just lead you to some kind of like purchase special, but that only happens like in a couple of places. Now in some spots there is a 1-tap to collect all, so you can just like grab everything that you're due to collect at once, but in some spots you can't, and you have to collect them manually, and that part is kind of annoying, but it's just how they made the game. Now the training area is where your side questing is at. You have the typical tower levels, resource battles, but you have a lot of other sections too, like the goddess training, and the goddess training is what gives you like these little gems that you need specifically to upgrade the goddesses. And you can also like create or join a guild, and I know there's like some kind of arena in here that you can fight in, but I don't think I've unlocked it yet. And I do like how they put the level number on each of these areas, so you already know like what level you need to be before you even go into it. If you click it, it's just going to tell you the same things, like this you need to be level 28, but that way you know ahead of time without even having to click on it. I think that's kind of cool. So wrapping this up, there is almost literally zero storyline in this game. no lore, nothing. And with the combat, the ultimates aren't too bad. They're not overly flashy, you won't get any massive anime style attacks, but they're okay. And there's no graphic settings on this game. In fact, you hardly have any setting abilities at all. So what you're seeing is pretty much what you get. And I think they probably could have done better than that, including the audio. You'll notice that the audio is pretty low quality. It's just a very like dated and old recipe kind of game. Now with the resources, they give you a lot of things to collect though, so the resource amounts are good, and there's a lot of collection over the first 7 days for new players. But you'll notice that there are options to purchase stuff like everywhere in this game. And I think it's just made to be one big idle cash grab in the end. And you might be thinking, you know, isn't that like all idle gacha games? I would say, yeah, you're right, like to a degree. It's more prevalent in some than others. And at least with this one though, they don't inundate you with purchase screens in the middle of doing normal game actions, because I've seen that before and it's terrible when they do that, but they don't do that here. So I'm a little torn on the score for this game. If I was using a 1 to 5 scale, I would say it's a 2.5. If the graphics and sound were updated, if they gave you more controls during battle, it could be a 3, maybe a 3.5. But it just comes off as so repetitive, and the battles aren't that fun because of the way they made them. And when you turn up the speed to ×3, you don't even get to hear all of the battle sounds, even though the sounds aren't that good to begin with. So it just feels like another idle game trying to capitalize on the whole hot girl character look, but there's only so much substance here. And if you're limited on time with the amount of games you can have in your daily rotation, which most of us are, I would honestly look elsewhere, but that's just me. I mean, you might think completely different, but that's fine. If you made it to the end here, like and subscribe if you feel inclined. It greatly helps out the channel with the algorithms so we continue to grow. I thank you so much for the support. That's all for this one. This has been Blue Screen of Tech, and I'll see you in the next game.